let's talk about the B wave. Where can it appear? How does it form? And why it scares the traders so much? All right, I'm looking at the chart of Bitcoin on a daily, right? And there is a little bit of chatter out there about, hey, what if this is a B wave? Let's jump on it and see, how this unfolds and, how many chances you really have, at least on this chart, right, to consider this a B wave. And I want to take you a little bit to where we can find a B wave and how does it look and why you should not necessarily be scared of it. And for that reason, you don't necessarily have to kind of call the top of it. So here is how B wave forms, right? It's part of a corrective structure. So first of all, let's start with the simplest structure, which is a corrective move, which is a zigzag. So you have a sell-off in the wave A, you have a wave B, and then you have a wave C. This is where you find a B wave. This is a 5-wave decline in the wave A. You move up in a wave B, and then you come lower in this wave C. Now, look at the pattern above here, and tell me if this is likely to be wave B of a zigzag, because that's kind of how you're thinking about things. We say that this move out of here kind of has to be in 5 waves, right? It's a rule for a zigzag. Wave A, it's in 5 waves. Let's count from the highs. 1, 2, 3, maybe a big mess here in the 4th wave, followed by a 5th wave. And then let's say it's a failed 5th, and you have a 5-wave decline out of here. Let's just assume that that's correct. Okay, you go 1, 2, 3, maybe a big triangle here, or some type of a complex correction, and then this kind of latest drop here, it's a failed 5th wave, and you have a 5-wave decline in a wave A. Then you look and say, fine, now I'm getting a move up in B. This B has to be in 3 waves. So far you have a wave, let's say A of the low is a wave B, and then you go up here in a wave C, and you're saying, fine, it's a B wave. Now here is the issue with that. The issue with that is that this B wave rarely travels more than 618 pullback of this wave A. Right? It's kind of one of the guidelines in Elliott wave that this B wave of a zigzag usually stops at about 61% retracement. Now, if you measure a retracement for this B wave, you will see that you've actually gone more than 88%, more than 78%, and 618 was somewhere at about 47,800, right? Which was taken a long time ago. So the likelihood of this here being a B wave, let me just kind of get rid of it, are very unlikely for a zigzag, right? So we eliminate this possibility and we put it kind of towards the back of our, of our thinking that this is actually a wave B of a zigzag. Now, let's go on to the next pattern, right? I mean, you just so you know, this can still be correct as long as you're not taking the top of the origin of the wave A, right? So this B wave can still be a zigzag, but as long as it doesn't get above the origin of the wave A, we're still fine. But in terms of its probabilities, I think it's very small, just because we have passed above that 618 level of retracement. Now, what's the next kind of viable pattern where you would have a B wave? And if you know your corrective patterns, so you have zigzags and then you have flats. Okay, so the next one that you're thinking, oh, well, okay, if it's not a zigzag, what if it's a flat? Okay, now for it to be a flat, this move A, this sell-off in the wave A, needs to be a 3-wave decline. Okay, it needs to be an ABC move. It can be a W, because then, it's flats are not WXYs. Okay, WXYs are complex corrections. Flats are ABCs. Okay, so for a flat to work, this move in A wave needs to be in 3 waves. Now, if you look at the sell-off out of here, right, can you count a 3-wave structure in an ABC? So you would have to go, let's just kind of make this argument. You would have to go like this, decompose as a correction. So you would have to go as an ABC. So either this is an A, B, and then you have an impulse here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would have to be some kind of a very awkward ending diagonal, which this being so impulsive, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't look good. The other way, it would be that this is wave A, right? And then you would have a wave B somewhere here, but you can't really do that because that's a three-wave decline, right? So your wave A of an impulse needs to be in 5 waves. Right? Your wave A of a zigzag, right, needs to be in 5 waves, and you only have 3 waves in here. So that means that you kind of have to move this B wave and say, fine, let's say, okay, this is the wave A, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for A. You have a triangle in B, and then you have a failed C wave. Very awkward, very ugly. It's not really in my kind of wheelhouse to count things this way, but let's just assume that this is the correct interpretation, and you have a 3-wave decline out of the highs. You have an A, you have a triangle in a B wave here, and or even if you put the B wave up and you consider the C wave an ending diagonal, you have a C wave. So now you have reasons to believe that this is a flat. But you can see I struggled a lot to count this as an ABC. Now I can count it as a WXY much easier, right? Because I go ABC, WX, ABC for Y. But then you can't really have a flat. You get it? So now let's stick with it and say, fine, it's a wave A, and now you're going up in B. So you're getting this move out of here in 3 waves. Now, the requirement for a flat is that this B wave needs to travel at least 88.7%, almost 90% correction of this A wave pullback to be inaccurate, to be close to the truth as being a flat, right? If it's a 618, it doesn't really work. If it's a 78.6, it doesn't really work. It really needs to be much higher than that. So this B wave needs to kind of come up here. So right now we are fine. Let's say we are very close to this the origin of this wave A for a B wave. So what can happen next? You have a 3-wave setback, and now you would get that larger sell-off in this wave C. So this is kind of where wave B would appear. The other way that could appear at is that B wave moves higher and you create a running flat as long as the C wave stays above this A wave low. Now this hasn't happened yet. This B wave hasn't actually traveled. It can still happen, right? You can still kind of push higher, and that can still be a possibility. But you have issues with this decline here in this wave A. Right? This is the thing that kind of screws up the probability that this is actually a B wave of a flat. All right? Now, we kind of went through these 2 scenarios, and you see how I'm using arguments here to kind of dismantle my thesis that this could be wave B of a flat. Just because this A wave, it doesn't look like it's a clean zigzag, a 3-wave decline that creates that wave A of a flat. All right? It's very awkward no matter how I count it. Now, how can it be still a wave B? Well, it can still be a wave B as part of a triangle. Right? So if I get a triangle out of here and I go, let's say this is the first sell-off in this wave A, then you get this, you get this B wave, and then you're going to get your C, you're going to get your D wave, and you're going to get your E. What if you are in this B wave of a triangle? Well, how do triangles start? Triangle starts with a 3-wave decline. Now here is a trick. This A wave does not have to be an ABC. It can be a complex correction. It's rare that happens. Usually those complex corrections happens in this wave, in this wave C. Usually is the way kind of you're getting it in the wave D, kind of towards the middle to the end of the correction. But usually it starts as a clean zigzag. So that's another negative to the fact that this could be a triangle overall, right? I'm using arguments. So this A wave, let's decompose it and say it's a combination. Right? Now I can work with this A wave being a combination, and I showed you how I can count this. You go ABC for W, you go ABC for an X, and then you go another ABC, and you create this wave A of a triangle. Okay? Now, here is the argument against this larger structure here being a triangle. This B wave, the one, let me just kind of make this show lines. right? This B wave usually travels about 61% of this wave A in a triangle, all right? And this it went much higher than that, right? We're above that 78.6, we're above that 88%. Let me just kind of put that on there so I don't forget exactly what that is, right? You're above this 88%. You're almost 100% because you're very close to all-time highs in Bitcoin. Okay. So this is the only way this can be a B wave of a triangle, right? Because triangles are 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3. Okay, they can be complex moves. So you can get an ABC out of here and still kind of hit a B wave. Now, the argument against it is as you moved past that, 61%. Now, it can still be a B wave if this B wave becomes a running triangle. This B wave moves higher, right? You maybe go towards 127% of this move, which means that this B wave would kind of have to travel towards 80,000, right? And maybe even 87,000, 127 to 138. It would have to go kind of all the way up there for it to be B wave of a triangle, which is the one that's right here. And then you would sell off in the C wave, you would have a D, and then you would have an E wave. So you would have a complex move in this A wave, you would go up in B, and then you would sell off in C. Now, this still doesn't make new lows in Bitcoin. It's still going to stop. The C wave is going to stop usually at about 61% distance traveled in this wave A. You can say also 61.8 of this B wave in the pullback. But that's one of the ways that I could still consider this a B wave. So I'm trying to use analysis of Elliott wave structures to kind of build my arguments or dismantle my arguments, right? I'm trying to be like I'm in a court of law, right? And then you have the prosecutions and then you have the defense. And each of them bring their arguments to win this case, okay? And I've just kind of talked you through, can it be a zigzag? Well, it's very hard because this B wave pulled way higher than 618. So that argument kind of gets thrown out. I mean, that count gets kind of thrown out. Can it be a flat? Well, it can be a flat, but I have an issue with counting this as a three-wave decline, right? So it's a problem. It's fine that it pulled into 88%, 90%, right? That's an argument towards that being a flat. But the fact that this is not a clean three-wave setback in an ABC, again, it kind of throws it out. So what are you left with? Are you left maybe with a triangle? Because in a triangle, I can actually count it as a complex correction in this wave A, but that's an argument against it, okay? Because it's a complex move, which usually doesn't happen in this wave A. Let's say that it does, okay? And now you're going to get a B wave. The problem with that is that this B wave is already way too high for being a regular triangle, so you have to think of it as being a running triangle to the upside, which actually hasn't happened yet. So based on that, this B wave actually needs to travel to 138%. So you can see how I'm slowly dismantling those corrective, that B wave scenario when I look at Elliott wave and when I look at the arguments, that you can see maybe from some other Elliotticians that, oh no, this is a B wave, right? So I presented, I think, a pretty strong case that it's kind of extremely unlikely for this to be a B wave, no matter kind of what you look at it. And if it is, the most likely scenario is that possibly it's a B wave of a triangle. That's kind of the first place where I would go to into thinking that, that this is a corrective move sideways, okay? Now, what that leaves me with, it gives a lot of arguments, it gives a lot of chances to actually this being the beginning of a larger impulse. If none of the corrective patterns that you're thinking of are working or are matching what's happening here, that means that you're in an impulse. That means that this was a corrective move to the downside in a WXY, right, in a corrective pattern, and that's an impulse of the low in a 1-2, and you're starting to build, the larger advance higher. And as you're going to be moving above this 138%, the arguments for a triangle are getting destroyed, and you're likely going to be in the next impulsive scenario. So I hope I made myself clear. Guys, leave me some comments. Talk to me about why you don't like and why you like what I've said. And if you have, additional ideas, come into the, the free chat room up there into the Telegram and show me kind of how you're thinking about it. But this is how you build arguments, and then, the other half of your brain can come with the contra arguments against what you're seeing. You always kind of have to stay open-minded and look at it like how much evidence you have to kind of support your thesis. You can't just say, is this a B wave of a flat? Well, you got to look at everything else. You got to look at that A wave. How does it unfold to the downside? It's got to be a 3-wave setback. Then you got to look at that B wave, right? And what levels have we already reached? Where are we on there? Okay, are we at 61%? Well, then it's not. Are you above it? Well, then it could be a running triangle. But again, look at that A wave. So just kind of building that, that thesis before you say something, it's a B wave. And then even if it is a B wave, you won't know that until actually you're starting to impulsively sell off to the downside. Okay, so markets have a way of kind of, playing games with our minds many times. And for me, I'm usually excited about trading, the C wave of a zigzag, but I'm not very excited about trading the C wave of a flat, because the reasons what I've talked so far, when you have a sort of what you're thinking a flat correction, that could actually be a triangle. All right, and it can, it can kind of move you into a different direction there, and you have less chances of that working out. But I'm not going to get into that whole discussion like how to trade the C waves. Is the purpose of today's lesson as to identify and to have arguments for for a B wave. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. If I did, let me know. And again, study flats, study triangles, study zigzags, study those B waves in particular, and they happen to the downside and to the upside. But use Elliott wave theory, by having solid arguments when you have a thesis that you think it's about to happen. So talk to you in the next one, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Bye bye.